And I'll take the next Democratic spot that lines up.
Thank you, Senator Whitehouse. Thank you all for being here. I, along with Senator Cornyn, joined with Senator Sinema and Senator Murphy to negotiate the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Stand by it. I think it's policy that's going to age well. Just for an update, full implementation was January of last year. There have been 168,971 purchase transactions for under 21 since then. 1,200 were denied, not based on the Safer Communities Act, but based on a prior policy. 428 were denied based on the Safer Communities Act. So to the Second Amendment advocates who said this was going to lead to a mass confiscation, they're patently wrong. More importantly, if they see the basis for the 400 or so that were rejected under the Safer Communities Act, no reasonable person would think that that was their day to buy a gun. So I would really encourage people to take a look at this bill, but not just look at the gun safety or the next processing. Take a look at school hardening. Take a look at investment in mental health. Take a look at a generational opportunity to address what I believe is the root cause behind many of these mass shootings, and quite honestly, many of the deaths related to guns. Take a look at the number of suicides that are committed through a gun that was legally purchased. It's a behavioral health challenge that we need to look at. I supported the bipartisan effort because I thought the policy was going to be good policy and age well. What I don't like are people that are making it harder to get people back to the table and get something done. And you don't get anything done on gun violence around here without bipartisan cooperation, which is why I was very frustrated with President Biden on the day that he signed the Safer Communities Act. One of the reasons I didn't go to that signing is I fully expected he was going to use it to spike the football and talk about more that he needs to get done that he knows damn well doesn't have bipartisan support. That is at the expense of areas where we can work together. Similarly, Governor Grisham, you want to push us further back from coming up with reasonable policy? Pass or implement an executive order that's patently unconstitutional. That takes people away from the table, doesn't solve the problem. Now let's talk about let's talk about violence in our communities. And I won't have time, but I would like to go back and ask states, conservative and liberal states, help us help your communities. Get right with providing information to the NICS processors so that they have the best available information about the backgrounds of these. If you're a Second Amendment advocate, you should be providing information to the NICS processing centers so those under 21s can get their guns sooner. If you're a gun control advocate, you should, and incidentally, Senator Booker, New Jersey's among one of the worst offenders of providing background information that we need to actually process and identify people who are at risk. It has to do with behavioral health adjudications and juvenile criminal arrest records. We've got to get this implementation right. But we've also got to look at the mental health and other components on the bill. I promised myself I wasn't going to take most of my time on it, but here I go. It's an important bill. People need to understand it. Instead of looking past it to the next thing we should do here, which is oftentimes dividing us, every single senator should understand that bill and do what I do, is have meeting after meeting after meeting in our state to make North Carolina the best implementation of the Safer Communities Act, and hopefully other states will follow. Now I got to get to the broken window theory. I believe that we're going through it. I believe I'm living it at Eastern Market. I bought a condo there about 5 years ago, felt good for about 3 years. Now I promised my wife after Votorama, or when we get out of here at midnight, I will not walk home. It's a 15-minute walk that now feels different. And it's because local mayors and town councils have lost sight of the fact that I believe the broken window theory is real. And I believe where we proved it, someone who's up for nomination in Baltimore, former Baltimore mayor, over 50% African-American population, elected a white mayor in the form of Martin O'Malley because they were fed up with what they were experiencing in Baltimore. And by stepping up, he reduced crime, and you could debate the number, but by about 30%, as much as 42%. And it wasn't because he was letting people get a pass on jaywalking or anything else. He was holding people responsible and drawing the margins around what was acceptable behavior. Mr. Cook, do you believe in the broken window theory? Ms. Scheer, or swear to you? I'll get that if you want me to.
I believe it is one of a number of theories that is helpful to understanding crime.
I firmly believe that the resurgence of crime that we're seeing, the feeling that I have now in Washington, D.C., has more to do with people mixing up Dr. Cozy Gay. I believe that people deserve forgiveness. You are a lot further along in your faith journey than I am in forgiving mass murderers and a number of other people, but good on you for being there. But hopefully we can both agree that these mass murderers need to redeem themselves while they spend the rest of their lives in prison when we're talking about those sorts of offenses. But until we start recognizing that our communities are less safe, governor's orders taking away guns like New Mexico are forcing more people to buy guns. Gun ownership is at an all-time high now, and it's going to get higher if you keep doing this kind of crap, Governor from New Mexico. We need people to sit around the table and act like adults, go back and have unpleasant conversations with people that are in our parties, but get to the table and solve problems, and we're not going to do it by talking about take all the guns away or give them all guns. And we're not going to do it by making any of this increase in crime and reduction in safety in these communities excusable. Whether it's Chicago, Charlotte, New York, Portland, doesn't matter. We all know what safe feels like, and you can't tell me you can walk the streets of San Francisco at night now and feel safe. Local electeds, state electeds, everybody else need to recognize they have a responsibility to the people of those communities to make them safer, and they are going in the wrong direction now. And gun violence is only one piece of the puzzle. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Tillis. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are at yet another hearing called by Democrats on gun control.